Hello Internet, I am back with this hot air station that I was given for a review. Mm, I would like to point out a few things that I don't like about it. Nothing critical, it's just me. Um, so, the company, they sent me a diagram. Not a diagram, they sent me some kind of a drawing that would allow me to put in a switch somewhere either inside or probably inside the handle. I'm guessing that's gonna allow me to that's gonna make this unit to turn off automatically once the temperature drops to 100 degrees without the need of putting the handle onto the rest. Um, though I'm not really sure 100% if they did interpret that issue correctly. I'm not the best person that explains things. So I'm going to look into that in just a minute. First thing I noticed that was kind of cool is to have this button here that serves several functions. One is to activate the cool down mode, which will deactivate the heat, but it will keep the fan going. So you think, okay, well, that's kind of cool. You know, that's good for cooling it down. And I understand. I got no complaint about that. However, if and then you hold it down, and then that will do the exact same thing, except that it will completely shut down once the temperature drops to 100 degrees. So that's great. Though I want that to happen. I want that to happen with the flip of a switch, not just by holding and pressing the buttons. I will show, and you'll understand why in just a minute. The reason why is basically when you hold the button, you know, so that it'll shut down once temperatures reach 100 degrees, and then you turn off the unit. Or we don't, you know, technicians like me and others, we don't really go around flipping switches. We flip one switch that turns off and turns on everything on our workbench. And so with this thing always on, when I turn this off, when I'm done soldering, and I put it back hanging, I don't use the rest. I cannot use the rest. I have to suspend it because it's inside this clamp. There's no way this clamp's gonna, you know, allow me to fit it into the handle, and this nozzle won't even fit there. So I'm not using the rest. So then, as soon as I power on the whole shop per se, this thing just starts heating up, and I don't like it. That's why I wanted a switch. Maybe I can implement a switch here. I don't know. Something that I can flip on and off. It basically turns off the heat, and once the temperature drops to 100, it'll shut down the fan as well. Just like my old station, just like pretty much any station in the world. I don't know why they went this route, but they did. And it's not the end of the world. It's just something to get used to, or something to keep in mind while you're operating it. So hopefully I'll get this addressed. The other thing is, this button, it's kind of hard to press. Though it looks very bumpy here in the video, and the reason for that is because I put a drop of epoxy on top of it, so you can actually feel this button, and then you can press it so much easier. So maybe they can do something with this button, because the way it came from factory is it's just, I mean, it's there and it's great and it's visible, but it's kind of hard to see and it's hard to press, especially if you're focused on your soldering, and where's that button, you have no idea. It's hard to feel it, and you know, and so this makes it a lot easier, like super, just a night and day difference. Finding this button without looking at it and pressing it is so much easier. The tips. They expressed some concern about the tips. I'm going to show you some of the issues that I have with their tips. So this is the tip, the original tip. This is the original that modified. And this tip is from Xtronics or Xtronic. Yeah. And so nowadays, almost every whatchamacallit, higher station, they switch into these nozzles that are easily inserted, you know. So and that explains because that's well justified. All these older machines that would have a twist on mechanism. I don't know if I have one here or not. Let me show you. Oh yeah, it's a lucky day today. So some of the older ones like this, you can see that they have like little notch here on the side. And so what that allows you to do is that they would have these nozzles that would have a little indentation on the opposite sides, and then they would just kind of go in here and then they twist on and they sit on here perfectly. So the issue is when you buy a custom fan, such as, let me show you, such as you get a fan such as this. So, and it has all this kind of like a neck area where it tightens around the nozzle, and you cannot really use that because there's just not enough room for that neck to grip, and it's not wide enough to go over it, so you cannot really use it. And so instead, manufacturers ended up using completely different, well, not completely different, similarly different systems where they would extend the neck, but then they would get rid of those indentations so that you're no longer able to attach a twist on nozzles, but you'll have the ability to a lot easier to connect and disconnect the tips that are basically going on and going off. So thus the era of quick release nozzle was born, but not without its consequences. The consequences is that there's a lot of custom nozzles that are using the old techs to attach. And by old tech, I don't mean nozzles like this. I mean older nozzles that don't even have these stupid grooves in here. And so how in the world am I supposed to get a nozzle like this? And please ignore this has already been modified. A nozzle like this with this type of a mounting mechanism. Let me see. You know, this one. This is the nozzle. This is what my nozzle looked like. A lot like it. There's another variation of the same similar nozzle. You can see it's got just has a screw on the side, and they basically you would basically put that on there and then put it on your thing, and then there's just going to be a screw. Just tighten the screw, and the screw tightens against the nozzle, the heat gun itself, and it just keeps it all together. So, and you can kind of see that those were designed to not really for a quick release type of thing. More of a permanent, not so much permanent, but more or less permanent attachment to the station, to the heat gun for continuous use rather than swapping them around. And so so what is it that I've noticed with this particular one, and when I compared it to the Xtronic, is that I really don't understand the reason for them to have this ring around it. For the Xtronic, there's actually a almost like a spring ring. It's not a whole ring. It's just like made like a C ring inside there. And what that does, it actually acts as a spring that holds. Well, in theory, it's supposed to hold, but it doesn't hold it anymore for whatever reason. Oh, it does now. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, you see, so it's kind of a failed mechanism to begin with. The bottom line is, I think this is a lot better because if the spring inside there gets loose, then how am I supposed to fix, a tip falling off without pulling the spring out of there, which is going to be a nightmare. Can't do it. However, with the tips that came with this hot air station, they have these little tabs. So if the tip is like really loose or really tight, you can just adjust these tabs and problem solved. However, their tips, they have this lip. I don't know. You can really probably see it. Little lip on the at the end of it. Probably a manufacturing thingy, and this lip prevents this nozzle, this tip to fit this nozzle. And problem is, all these newer hot air stations, they come with a quick release, and then they have these thick ring around it. For this particular one, I understand the reason for that because there's a ring. For this one, there's no need for this ring to be welded to the tip. It serves absolutely no purpose. Because these tips, they're not held inside by any spring, but they're held by themselves by these little tabs. So ideally, I would want this to be removed completely so that I can use these older attachments, nozzles like this, without any problems. And that is not to say I cannot use it now, but there's just not a whole lot of area here to grab onto. So it would be better if this outer ring wouldn't exist. That would allow me to take a custom nozzle and slide it all the way on and tighten it. It would be a lot better. And so, where's this thing? Okay, so let's say I have another soldering station and I really like the tip that came with this thingy, but because of this groove, I cannot, make it fit. I managed to get it fit. All I did was, you can see I shaved the edge, made it smooth, and now it fits into my other nozzle, which is great, into another heat gun. So almost fits. I mean, I can make it fit. There. Perfect. So my guess is that I really hope that these hot air station manufacturers would make a little more of an educated decision when it comes to design of their nozzle. So this one is kind of fine by itself, but what I want to see, and you guys, you're gonna have to agree with me on that. Imagine if this ring wasn't here at all, and then on the end of it, it would have, a little groove, just like the old hot air stations, so that it would be able to accept older tips, and it would be this ring outside wouldn't exist. That would also allow you to install old, bigger custom nozzles like this one, and then because the tips themselves don't really care about the way this looks, they'll just go on and off normally. So you will instantly have compatibility with 3 different types of tips. And believe it or not, the number one reason why I was stuck with my old soldering station, hot air station, is because it was hard. It was hard to find a station that would accept these. There was no way that I could mount this inside of that without worrying about falling out. And I needed something that, with the interchangeable tips and whatnot. So I was stuck with the old one. Now, if I knew that there was a station like that would accept my custom nozzle, then I would probably go ahead and buy this unit a long time ago, but I couldn't. So, because it's always a struggle to find a station that fits your tip, and these tips, they are not cheap. I think this one was like $40 or $50. I'm not even sure. It's like 1/5, 1/3 of the price of this. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to address a thing with the switch in just a second. Okay, so this is the image that they sent me. So they're suggesting me to short these 2 wires here. I'm guessing this is a handle. It looks like it's a handle, and God, I hope this handle isn't permanently glued, because it looks like it's glued. I really hope it wasn't. And that's all I'm gonna do. So let's see if I can get to that handle and see if I can see. I want to see what happens when those contacts get shorted out. I want to see if there's any current going through them, so that way I know whether or not it's safe to actually implement that switch there. I'm gonna have to see if there's any room inside the handle to actually put that switch in. So they want me to short the blue because the blue is going to the thermistor. And what will happen? I don't know. What's that gonna achieve? I have no idea. So let's try it out. I don't know what's gonna happen. That doesn't make any sense, but we'll give it a try. My guess is gonna fail to read the temperature, and it will. Yeah, it starts to blow immediately. I don't want it to blow immediately. So what I'm gonna do, we are shorting. So we're shorting. Let me go ahead and go into the short mode. Here, over there. So I want to short one more time. The white one. The switch. No. That's a switch. I don't need a switch. Is that it right there? Yes. Thermistor. Okay, so I want to switch this guy and that guy to the negative. And see. So first what I want to see is how many amps goes through. Probably nothing. Okay, so nothing's happening. So I turn on the unit and nothing is happening, which is exactly what I want. So if I let go, the switch goes on. And if I connect, okay. I think we have a fix. Now all I have to do is to figure out how to implement it. And I don't think there's a whole lot of... Ooh, this thing is hot. I don't think there's a whole lot of room inside the handle itself for me to put that in there. So I'll probably put it like over here. Hopefully they're gonna allow me to do that. Or maybe I can put it over here on the side or somewhere. I think hopefully there's room here. So that way it's easily accessed. Yeah, because there's no way I can put it in here. Though it would be nice to have some kind of a flip switch, like a very small rocker switch. Click, 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 you know, on the opposite end of this button, maybe. That would be nice. But yes, that does seem to work, so I do appreciate them giving me this tip. And I'll get on with the handle. Oh, I mean with the button, with the switch, and I'll be right back. So as I'm putting it together, I actually realized why the whole assembly was so tight. And the reason for that is it has to be tight because it blows air through the entire handle. Unlike these ones that have a fan inside of them, they actually have like a little boot, a rubber boot, that directs the airflow out to out through the tip. In here, that doesn't happen. The air goes through the entire handle, and then it exits out. So everything has to be not super tight, but you know it should be tight. So which means I should have been a little less aggressive. I should have been a little bit more careful, and because of that I have to shave a little bit off of my nicks and crannies that I created, being reckless. But you know, there's a lesson here. I never took apart a handle like that before, so now we know. Now you and I know that these things should be tight. So that's great. It's actually a good thing that it was all tight, and especially considering the fact that it was not glued at all, which is awesome. Because if it was glued, then we would all be screwed. Okay, so let's see. What is that? Anyway, I'm gonna put it together and get back. Yep, so it looks like we have plenty of room for a button on the bottom over there that we can implement, and the wires, they come out of there. We needed a yellow and we needed a blue, which are right there. So we can tap a switch right into them. That should be easy. A nice, good, beefy transformer there. Pump. Everything is looking very nice. Looks like everything can be disconnected, so that looks like very much serviceable unit on the inside. The handle was a bit tough on the other hand. So I'm gonna have to find a switch, and I'll drill a hole in here for this for the switch, and then we'll see what I can come up with. By the way, this is the switch I want to use. Just a simple on-off switch. I will hopefully manage to put that there. It would be nice if I had the matching one, but I don't. So, in which direction I want it to go? Do I want to go up? Do I want it to go down? I don't know. I probably wanted to go up. That'll be interesting. Maybe I can put it here. Maybe I can put it in the middle. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so let's look down here. This is it? Is this what's coming from there? Yes. Or no? Yes, okay. So we have a blue and a yellow that need to be shorted. So blue is the thermistor, yellow is ground for some reason. And so the first pin there, can't see. Can you see? No, you cannot. So this pin there, and then this pin there. So this one's the ground, I think. And so you can connect, I'm just going to solder a wire to this end of the resistor, which goes to this pin. And then this end of the resistor goes to the second pin. It also goes in here. So I'm guessing that's going to be ground. And the way you can figure this out is that you can just put a probe on here, put a probe on this tab, and then touch any negative side of the electrolytic capacitor. And so the switch itself is right there. So I want to see almost nothing happening to the screen until I flip the switch. So here we go. Oh, actually no. Let me turn that off. So the switch is now activated, and then we all imagine that we turn on the entire workstation. The whole shop goes on. Bam. Good. So nothing happens. So I turn it on. It starts to heat up. We went above 100. I flip the switch. It automatically goes into a full blast, and it cools it down, and it turns it off. Beautiful. This is absolutely must have for this station. So I'm very happy with this mod. I hope you guys find this mod useful. I hope that the manufacturer will consider doing this mod. It's a very simple mod, just one little tiny switch. Also, I would highly advise them to take people into account, such as myself, who like to change presets with the tips of their soldering station, so that maybe, you know, because we're lazy, we don't want to, we have our hands always occupied, and we sometimes don't want to put this away and then go in with the finger and switch whatever preset. We sometimes just like to go this, then. And so the reason why I'm bringing it up is that I have not tried these buttons, how temperature resistant they are, or maybe they could be like galvanized or something. That would be really nice, so that way the heat from the tip would not melt them. But I don't know, just a suggestion. I'm not exactly sure if that's the case. So these buttons may actually be okay. As an example, this old my old trusty, oh boy, I can't even. Can I disconnect that? Yes, okay. So my old Xtronic, see how these buttons are? Like, they're all like metallic, so to speak. So they're plastic, but they're coated with like a layer of metal. That's what you want to do. So works really well. Other than that, I think everything is pretty good. I'll put this thing together, and I think that will be the end of this video. So the only issue I have left now is that whole system is turning the fan and the heat turns off when the switch is on. So I want this the opposite direction. So, and the problem with that is that the switch is the way that this switch is designed. The switch itself is in the opposite direction. So what I can do is obviously swapping the wires around is not going to help. If the switch had 3 terminals, I would just swap the wires around and that would solve the problem. But this switch only has 2 terminals, and so the only thing that I can do is I can flip the switch itself, and hopefully I just want to take this switch out, flip it around, and hopefully that'll work. It shouldn't be too difficult. I've done this in my previous life when I was a MacGyver. Hopefully I can get underneath it, under its skin, and that can be difficult, you know. Let's see if I can I probably want a razor blade here or 2. I probably want 2 razor blades to do this. So let's do 2 razor blades. See if we can get this switch to do what we want. So one on this end. I don't want to use that. And one on this end. There we go. Okay, so that's it. So all I got to do is rotate that around. And in theory, that should be all there is. So now my switch is properly oriented. And I'm sure that the company will make necessary changes, but the thing is, once they do, it's going to be new and improved and all that, you know, all that stuff. But they're going to have to do something with the old stuff. So you can probably get this unit cheaper once they release an upgraded version, if you wait. Hopefully they won't take too long. But if you don't mind doing these upgrades yourself, you know, since they're not that hard to do anyway, then you just might as well. See? Perfect. So now it's off. This is on, this is off. And by off, I mean it will not heat anything. Perfect. That's what I wanted to do. That's it. I mean, literally, this is it. This is the end of the video.